Hey Kathy, hope you're
Hi,
doing well.
Kathy.
We're doing
Yeah, doing
fine.
really well. How's it going on your end?
It is. It's going well. It's going well.
Awesome. Really glad to hear that. I noticed Neil joined in, I think a few seconds ago, but I can't see him here anymore. Let me check. Not sure if I declined his invite inadvertently or not. Let me just ask him to join again. My bad. uh, uh, so just bear with me for like 60 seconds, yeah? Thank
No problem at all. I need a second to get set up here anyway.
you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Neil. Welcome.
Hey, Neil.
Sorry, mate. I might have inadvertently, probably declined your previous invite. So I apologize.
No worries at all. My internet's down at the moment, so I was just trying to sort it out on my phone.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thanks for
Peace.
Thank you so much for taking the time to hop on this call, guys. As you might already be aware of, the support team in itself doesn't really have much of an idea on what Viva or Widen actually does. Um, the only thing I think we have heard from Brit is I believe Viva is basically used for legal approvals, and she was telling me Widen is it kind of works as a dam. So yeah, if you guys could share your insights on it, then that would be great.
Sure. Yeah. In fact, I think what we should do. I don't know how many of you have seen there was a video shared, I think, around a little while ago in the Good News channel. What I thought we could do is maybe go through and see the GE Healthcare setup,
Sure.
the pieces of CMP that are configured to make the integration work, and then we can just review a workflow that's actually been completed, so you can see each step and kind of the you won't see the full interaction because I actually don't have my login to Viva anymore. It's been passed on. But yeah, we can go through the very high level and especially the points that are really critical to understand in CMP that make it work.
Gotcha. Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Kathy.
That work? Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. All right, so I'll share. Okay. Let's start at kind of the beginning of the configuration in CMP that make this work so that you can start. And I wish I had a great picture for you, which we're working on all kinds of supporting documents that would really help put this together. But for right now, we'll have to have a mental picture. These integrations all require an app to be configured, and that's in apps and webhooks. So these are essentially the bits of software that are authorized to carry out the integration. So these are our authentication connections to basically Widen, Sitecore, and Viva. So you can see we have a number of them here. We actually have set up one connection for Viva and Widen and one connection for Sitecore. The Sitecore is a piece of work that we can separate for right now because it's not the Sitecore that you and I all know and love. It's a different one. And it's one that will probably only work for GE Healthcare. So we're not going to invest a lot of time in it. It's working for them, but it really won't work for anyone else.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So what you can see here is that we have this app called One Content Ecosystem Production and One Content Ecosystem Test. So what we actually have set up here are two separate threads, one for a team at GE Healthcare that's basically doing the equivalent of production work, and one that's doing the equivalent of test work. So that keeps all of our connections and our authentication separate so that we're not clobbering each other. So if I go in here to test, what you'll see is that this is our client authentication for Tray.io, which again is an important component, but one that you probably will never have to touch. But it's essentially, you know, the thing that is brokering all of the requests. All of the requests for integration go through Tray. So our client app sits on Tray. For the test instances of GE Healthcare workflows, so that's a critical element here. We have actually made duplicate workflows so that we can have a production stream of workflows and a test stream of workflows. So what you should start to imagine now is that we have, you know, two streams of work going on in CMP, and the integration is actually aware of those two streams of work. One is for a group of people that are testing the production versions of everything, and one is for test.
Got it.
So we're doing, yeah, we're able to do development and test at the same time.
Wow.
Really cool. All right, so client IDs and secrets, this is what actually makes the authentication possible. So that's important there. And you'll see that there's a different set for test and production. So I'm going to zero in on, well, actually, I'll zero in on production so that it's transparent to you, the things that are coming in from anybody at GE Healthcare who reports an issue. They're going to be using this particular connection, which again, actually this, yeah, sorry, that's a bad description. This is also the connection for Tray, but on the production side.
Oh, okay. Wow.
All right.
Yep.
So here's another aspect of this. Now that we have our authentication set up, now we have to set up the webhooks. So the webhooks are set up exactly the same. We have a dev branch and we have a test branch. And because this is the dev instance, all our production work is actually in test. And this is kind of how GE Healthcare uses their nomenclature, but essentially everything that's live is going through test, and everything that's currently, you know, in development and under, you know, constant changes is here in dev.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's now our two streams of work are actually split again between dev and test.
Yeah, it's pretty intricate now that you mentioned.
Yes. Yeah, now you can kind of see the different dependencies that we have throughout the system. So, but I mean, at its core, each one of these is listening for each app. So for instance, the Viva webhook here, this Viva connection is only listening for external substep started. Of all of the events that we fire, Viva only cares about external substep started.
Oh, wow.
And Widen is actually the same. So Viva dev goes with Widen dev. And Widen is also listening only for external substep started.
Kathy, one quick question.
Yeah.
So the events that show up for each of those webhook sections,
Yep.
do they appear right away when you say, for example, click on register webhook, or like, do you have to set something up in Tray.io?
Yes, you have to set something up in Tray, which if we go into these test ones, these are the ones that are live right now. So if I go into the Viva test webhook, what you'll see is this callback URL.
Oh, yeah.
So the way that callback URLs work is that when a webhook fires, anybody who's subscribed to that webhook has an endpoint. And so we send a post request to that endpoint. And this is in Tray. This is the workflow in Tray that will pick up that webhook's post request.
Okay.
But it only fires
Well,
in this instance, it fires in the dev instance for external substep started.
yeah. Those are like the conditions, I guess.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Guys, any questions thus far? I guess we are good.
No, all good.
So things that potentially, okay, great. Yeah, no, please ask questions anytime. This see the secret right here?
Yep.
Things that potentially go wrong, you know, whenever you can diagnose, for instance, that a webhook has fired, but for whatever reason, the tray.io, this post endpoint could fail. One reason it could fail is that somebody changes this password.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So if somebody changes that password, then, and they don't change it in both places, the authentication for that webhook is broken. So it will appear as though the integration is broken, but in fact, if you get to the point where you know that the webhook is fired and CMP is sending the webhook, it has to be received, right? And it can only be received if the password is the same in both places.
Yep.
All right, so okay, so that gives you an idea of just some of the setup that goes into the integration pieces itself. Okay, so these integrations, the way that they have been written for Viva and Widen in particular, are dependent upon workflows and very specific workflows designed by GE Healthcare to have external steps. So it's really important as you guys kind of step into this space for Viva in particular, and for Jira, which is coming. It's very important to understand how these external steps work.
Yep.
So what I'm going to do is show you the one that we use the most, which is, so first of all, GE Healthcare has some of the most complex workflows I've ever seen. Like 13 plus steps.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. So not every client will do it this way, but for GE in particular, this is probably the most complex any client would ever try and tackle. So, once you know this one, you can handle anything. What what you'll see is that we have dev in front of any workflow that's currently using the dev branch of our integration code. So we put dev in front of that workflow to indicate that this is an in-process workflow. And then we put nothing in front of the ones that are currently being tested, which are basically the ones that are candidates to go live. So if we have dev create new asset, what we will also have is create new asset. If we have dev edit existing page, we will have one called edit existing page, clone page and new page, retire and unpublish. So we have I think there's 6, 7. So there's 7 total workflows that drive every possible use case that hits this integration. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Every one of these is kind of set up very similarly. So we'll go into create new asset. So at a high level, what this workflow is designed to do is allow a marketer to issue a request to create a new asset to be used in downstream marketing efforts. So it might be a new image, it might be a new blog post, it might be a new PDF, any of those types of, it might even be a new video. In order for GE Healthcare members to do that, all of their work has to be approved by legal compliance. Because they're in the medical industry, they can't put together any type of asset that would put GE Healthcare at risk for being sued for any reason, right? So it has to pass through legal compliance. And the system that does that for them, the system that keeps track of all of that, is Viva. The system that they use to distribute those assets once they are approved is Widen. So what this workflow is basically going to step a person through is all the intricate steps that they have to do in order to prepare the document to be approved by legal, and then once passed through legal, distributed automatically for everybody to use in Widen. So that's why there's so many steps. We're just going to zero in on a couple of them, okay? All right, so here's this create new asset workflow. We're going to basically assemble the user, right? They're going to assemble all the information that they need. They're going to prepare a draft internal to their team before it even reaches the legal compliance stage. They're going to review it, revise it, go through all kinds of collaboration until we get to the final draft content review, which is a committee of people who sit around the asset and say, looks good, everybody, it's ready to go to legal. Okay, so this becomes a step in the workflow. And you can see there's a couple of checkpoints here. We want to edit the labels. We want to make sure that additional information is filled out, the custom fields. And then we hit the first of our external steps. So the first external step is called create Viva placeholder. So as the request has now passed through marketing and it's gotten its final draft review, this step notifies the Viva personnel that there's a new asset coming and you need to create a placeholder for it in the workflow. So that lets the Viva team know that there's an asset incoming and they're going to set aside some data specifically for that placeholder. That kind of gets the Viva system ready, and it's a required step.
Okay.
So you can see here, this is an external step. It's directed to the Viva placeholder external system. If I just show you some of the external systems that we have configured in here, you'll see another pattern. We have basically an external system set up for each action and each branch of code. So see, we have Viva retire dev, widen upload, widen dev. All right, so you can see we're using the external system to also set up multiple work streams.
So, hey, Kathy, are these the options we are seeing in this drop down? These are the webhooks that we have set up on the apps and webhook section, right?
They're connected to those webhooks, yes.
Right.
Yes, so what'll happen is every time the external system is chosen in the webhook firing, yes, it'll be labeled with this particular external system marker.
Got it.
Cool. Okay, so that's external step number one. Once this returns, you know, in the stream of things, once this returns, this asset has now basically been set aside for approval. They've got a couple of other steps that they take care of when it comes to the layout. So now they actually work on the format of the content, the asset itself. So we have a couple of layout steps here, and then they get an approval essentially to move ahead. Once they get an approval, and this is an internal approval, this is not a legal approval. This is like an internal team approval. Then we get to our next external step, which is called get Viva approval. So now this is the step that actually goes to Viva to return an approval. And see how it's different? The external system is different here. Okay, so we now have basically the equivalent of two different types of external steps. It'd be the same thing as if we had Jira on one step and Binder on another step and Showpad on another step. They look different. They're going to different destinations. All right, so after the Viva approval step completes, we now do this final step, which is send the final asset to the DAM. So the expectation here is that once we get the approval, we're going to automatically fire the next step, which is also an external step that goes to widen. So from top to bottom, we've got a few manual steps. We go to Viva, we ask for a placeholder. The placeholder comes back. We fix the layout. We get a final internal approval on the GE Healthcare marketing team before we send the document to Viva. We get an approval from Viva. Now legal has put their stamp on it, and then that asset is final approved, and it gets moved into the DAM in Widen.
Kathy, one quick question.
Yeah.
Considering, say, for example, how intricate and elaborate all of these processes are, what's like, say, for example, a typical turnaround time for one of these processes, like from its inception till like the conclusion?
Yeah. I'm going to show that to you actually, because okay, so there's the technical version and then there's the people version.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay, so technically we're able to, each one of these external steps, as it talks to Viva and returns, so like get Viva approval, has to package up the data, all the custom fields, all one asset only one asset is processed at a time. It has to send it to Viva, and then a response comes back to keep the user informed of the status. That round trip is 30 seconds.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I might have noticed it from like one of your earlier videos where I think you refreshed the task and
Yes.
after a few seconds like a ticket link came in or something like that. Yeah, I might have.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So that process, the technical half of that process, is right around 30 seconds now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Before, when we first started, it was at a minute and a half or so.
Okay.
But we made a number of improvements to get the round trip at about 30 seconds or less.
Wow. That's amazing.
But there is definitely a people aspect to this, especially this step right here, the Viva approval step, because we have two passes. First of all, the user in CMP has to kick off the step and they have to send the document for approval. And then it goes and it sits in a queue in Viva. And that queue could be a week, could be a day. It depends on the nature of the document itself. Could be longer. And then the user in Viva can do a number of things. They can actually reject the document,
Okay.
and send it back to be redone. So they can reject it. They can also say it's approved, but only if you make these changes.
Okay.
Right. So there's that whole cycle right there that could take, obviously days, weeks, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the technical story of how long it takes. We're actually running tests where from beginning to end, it's less than a minute to complete every step, including the upload to Widen.
Oh, wow. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So they actually pressed us really hard for those things.
Yeah, yeah. I keep an eye out on like the updates that you guys share on
Yeah.
the channel, and like I noticed that the full team has been working on relentlessly to like take care of those defects and whatnot for the past I
Yes.
don't know 6-7 months I guess it's been.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, since I guess we started the design in September.
Hats off to you guys on that. Like you guys therefore deserve all the plaudits because I mean like keeping at it with so many demands and with the customers having new requirements every now and then it can definitely get like confusing at times.
Yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure.
It's actually taking me back to college actually, like it feels as if I'm learning a new course or something like that. So thank you.
Yeah, it's an incredible piece of work too. I've personally, I've been doing this for a long, long time, these integrations, and this is one of the most performant, one of the best like in-app user experiences, the attention to detail, the manageability of it, and the fact that we've really, I mean, logistically, we've really only been working on this since November. We started coding in November. So you've got November, December, and January,
Yeah.
and it's at 0 defects right now. 3 months of work, 3 people, 0 defects, 30 seconds round trip performance. I think it's a pretty incredible statement. I've never professionally experienced that level. It can take companies years to achieve this, and we did it in 3 months. So, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a testament to you guys, like
Mhm.
how hard you guys work
Oh,
and
it's
keeping our customers happy. So thanks, guys.
a great team, and yeah, it's a great set of tools too. So, yeah. So there's one other piece to this that's really critical.
Okay.
And that's this section here. So in custom fields, there are a handful of fields here that the integration writes data back to CMP whenever it finishes its job. And the flip side of that is there's a handful of data that is sent to Viva and Widen that's used to actually keep the two systems aware of, you know, really important data that they share. So in CMP, they prefix all the data that Viva needs with the Viva, you know, name. And you can see that that data is required. That data is required because if we don't add it, Viva will reject it. So we're actually using CMP to enforce Viva's performance, you know, on the other side, which is kind of a cool statement, right? So all of this data here that's required is sent to Viva during both the placeholder step and the approval step. This guy right here, previous job number, is something that's only used in an edit. But you see this guy here, Viva document number and Widen asset ID. So these two custom fields actually get their values from the integration. So when the approval step is finished, I'm sorry, when the placeholder step is finished, a Viva document number is assigned, and that shows up in the additional information tray at the conclusion of that step. And then when the Widen step completes and the asset is uploaded, the asset ID is written to the custom field so that our CMP users always know where to find these assets if and when, you know, the task completes.
Yeah.
Really critical step. And then these dates and this approved for distribution, that date is written when, or that text field is written when the approval is received from Viva, because that's a critical label for the asset to know that it has been approved. And so that will follow the asset throughout its tenure or whatever, you know, its lifespan, that it was approved for distribution and it was approved on this publication date. It will expire on this date and it has to be reapproved at this date. All of those things driven by Viva.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Kathy, it seems as if, like, say for example, if someone wants to create an asset, right? Um, Based on the steps as well as like all the concurrent actions that are associated with one process, it seems as if it's like too intricate. Is it like, do they have lots of governance policies or like requirements that they need to look after? Because like, can't it be more simpler? Just asking, like.
Yes, it can be infinitely simpler.
Okay, but I guess that's how they work.
Yep. This is how they work for real. Yeah, this is legitimately, this is how they work. Yeah, and it creates its own set of complexities and they get themselves in their own, you know, set of challenges because they make it so intricate. And you'll see it when they, you know, demand certain features too, right?
Yeah, yep. You said it.
Yeah, it's like, well, I need, like, I mean, this is a perfect example. There are a couple of these fields that, well, you can't have a yes in this field if this field is set to, you know, XYZ, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, those are features that, you know, first of all, if they were to combine it all into one value, or there's multiple ways to look at that problem, but because they insist on splitting them all out and, you know, for a variety of reasons, they make it more difficult. Now all of a sudden they have to have some sort of feature to get around a problem. So anyway, yeah, it can be infinitely easier. We expect to be able to take this and use this at other customers in a much, I would say in a much more simplified way. There's probably no good reason for there to be 13 steps in any workflow.
Yeah.
So, and I say that tongue in cheek because we've asked them on multiple occasions to make things simpler, but they are who they are. So
Like teamwork makes the dream work. Nice.
that's right. That's exactly right. Okay, so there are a couple of other things here, labels. Same thing. A lot of these are necessary. There's one in particular that's very necessary. I just want to call your attention to this one.
Yep.
Viva primary asset. So I told you before, the integration itself will only apply to one asset, largely because of the way they've designed their workflows. This is a required thing for GE Healthcare. It won't always be the case for every Viva integration. However, in this case, one asset on the content tab will be designated as the primary asset. And when these steps kick off, only that asset will be sent. All the other documents are expected to be like supporting documents.
Okay.
So certain things that could go wrong is if they select more than one asset as a primary asset, you know, that kind of stuff.
One quick question, Kathy. So you said, like, say for example, if there are multiple assets under the content tab, right? You said, like, based on the integration, it will select one asset as like the primary asset. So is that something like that the user will manually select, or like does it
Yeah.
get selected based on a logic, pre-filled logic or something like that?
Nope, it's entirely up to the user.
Okay. So it could be something other than an article as well, or like
Actually, articles are not supported at all.
okay, so it's just images and like other stuff, I guess. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, images and PDFs and videos.
Oh, okay, okay. Thanks for confirming.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, and we've actually built a really cool feature in here that I'll show you related to that so that you can see how that works.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go look at one. I want to say, actually, let me just go. I'll just go to a task that I was looking at previously. This is a performance test task. Okay, well, I wanted to find one that was completely finished so that you could see it. But here's a new page workflow, very similar to the create new asset workflow we were just looking at. And you can see this one was executed. This one was actually executed by one of their performance tests. But here's, you know, assign content editor. Here's this. Now here's our first external step. Yep. And it's create Viva placeholder, and it's completed. You can see the green check mark. Yep. And what you'll see in the external system placeholder or the external system like chunk here, this block, that the external system called was that Viva placeholder. Remember the external systems we were looking at? There's that. Here's the link to the document in Viva. So if I had a Viva account, I would log in and open it up here. The title of the task, see the performance test 19, performance test 19. And the status is set to placeholder created with a cute little green check mark.
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay. So yeah, so you can see, and you would, if this had all been finished, you'd be able to review each step, and you'd be able to see here in the details, you'd be able to see the step that was completed by the integration. So let's go do one together. We'll just go, I can't remember the name of the campaign. So bear with me 1 second. Let me look at this campaign. Yeah, this one, test miscellaneous, that's it. You can see there are a number of tasks in here that have been used. So I want you to see one that's completely finished. Nope. Yeah. These tasks are just, there's so many of them, and there's so many steps in each workflow. There's real. Oh, here's one. Okay, these are pretty close. Okay, so here again, we'll go to, here's our first external step, placeholder, view details, placeholder created. Nice, right?
Yep.
Okay, here's
so,
one.
Hey, Kathy, so do you mean there is a placeholder in Viva which has been created for this video, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct. And then the next step is to get Viva approval. The next external step is get Viva approval. And here's an interesting one where the external system is different. It's Viva approval.
Mhm.
Here's the link to the document. Here's the title. And the status is the asset has been uploaded.
Mhm.
The asset is uploaded, but
It hasn't been
approval has, see, the step is still open.
Yeah.
If the step had completed and the approval was received from Viva, then
Mhm.
this step would be closed with a green check mark
Mhm.
and it would say asset approved.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So one thing to note, you see how there's a comment waiting right here?
Right.
This comment is from Viva,
Mhm.
and you'll know that because it says service account. Get
Okay.
Viva approval. Step 10, get Viva approval. Asset is ready to be processed through the approval work.
Approval workflow.
So this is your indication that the step is still in process and
Mhm.
it's sitting in Viva waiting for the Viva user to complete it.
Okay.
Okay. So, Kathy, say for example, like when someone approves that asset, then by estimate, I think it will take 30 seconds to complete that trip, right? Or like
That's
for
right.
yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. By the time somebody approves it, there's no more than 30 seconds from the time that they click the button and say it's approved
Okay.
to the time that this step completes and the check mark comes in.
Understood. Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
Kathy, if someone suggested any modification, then where it will appear? Like this will be
Yes.
approved if you make these changes. Where it will appear in the comment section?
Exactly. It'll appear in the comment section,
Okay.
and there will be a different type of icon here. It'll say like approved with changes, and there'll be a red X or
Okay.
something because it's kind of a visual indicator that the
Mhm.
user has to take action.
Mhm.
So we implemented this type of comment and status so that our in-app users would be triggered to go carry out other actions on these steps because the external system, can't tell them that, right? It has to actually be, triggered in this block.
Okay. So I just need to clear up one more thing. So this
Yep.
approval action needs to be completed in Viva, right? So whenever
Yep.
an user will approve this in Viva, the reflection of the change will appear in CMP after 30 seconds of that actions taken, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, got it.
Yep. Yeah, let me find one for you too. I just want to call your attention to, while all this is going on,
Mhm.
your additional information tray has also had some new data added to it.
Mhm.
You'll see you won't have approved for distribution because the asset's not approved,
Mhm.
but you will have a Viva document number. And that Viva document number has come from Viva as a result of this
Mhm.
placeholder step. And you see how this matches?
With that.
Oh, right,
J10,
right.
yeah, right. 1012, right? So those numbers match, and that's why.
This will be automatically filled, right? We don't have to
Yes.
manually enter this number.
That's correct. It's
Right.
all automatically filled. So things that could potentially go wrong, by the way, is if the user is in here and they accidentally hit like something, like maybe they accidentally hit the backspace, or they highlight this field and then they hit space, right?
Mhm.
And look, the draft is saved.
Mhm.
Now what? Right? I can't cancel changes. It's actually saved and overwritten. But we built in a recovery here.
Mhm.
So that just to kind of help, get around any issues there. So at any rate, I wanted you to know that because it's still possible, even though the external system has written that data, it's still possible for the user to reset it. So possible issues that come in, and troubleshooting. But the nice thing is all you've got to do, especially because this is completed this way. Nice thing is all you've got to do is copy paste that.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, I want to show you one that's finished. But of course that'll be a challenge because I don't know which ones of these have been. I don't know. Let's try this one. Yeah, you can see a lot of our tasks stop at Viva approval because none of us have, or not all of us have accounts. Shoot. There's got to be one.
There is one performance drop
Yeah.
something, task 4780. I can see that's completed.
This one.
Performance drop.
There we go.
This one looks to be it's completed.
Yay. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, because I do want you to see here in the Viva approval.
Mhm.
Oh, look, see the 6 comments.
Yep.
Which what we've been trying to do is write a comment every time the Viva status has changed,
Mhm.
so that the user can trace the history. But you can see here, this one has been approved for distribution here. And if I look at the comments, we can see the service account. Asset is ready for next steps processing in Viva. Oh, wait, let's go up here to the comment history. Oh, why 6? I wonder why 6 comments. Asset ready. Approval verdict. See how it's formatted? Approval verdict is approved. Comments. Legal approval. Comments. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so this is a pretty good example too, because you can see that the asset is connected to, been sent to Widen using the Widen upload external system. A new version has been uploaded to Widen.
Okay. Amazing. Yeah.
Cool.
So first it's uploaded to Viva, and then we get the approval from Viva, and then it gets uploaded to Widen, right? Is this the process, right?
That's right. That's right.
Got it.
Kathy, if we scroll down, what is like the like for the final step? What are the details that we should look out for? Okay, let me just okay.
Here you should see, first of all, you should see the green check mark that the step is closed. And this is hard. A lot of our users are, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but our GE healthcare users are somewhat confused by this, because this last step is an external step and the green check mark is here, but you see that it's open, right? And it's open because this is also a step that has to push to the library. So they get confused, like maybe there's an action they're supposed to take here, but this is an automatic push to the library when this step completes. So what you should see always is green check mark, new version uploaded, green check mark, step completed, and all files pushed to the library.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to give you a feel. We won't be able to do a whole one, but I want to give you a feel of what it's like when you're in the app and you're watching a user kind of go through it. We'll go through and create a new test task. We'll use that miscellaneous test campaign. And we'll use the one that we looked at together, the create new asset. All right, we'll go through, and I'm actually just going to do the required ones so that you can see some of the in-app error checking, because it won't let me go past unless I do these. So this is yes. Viva products, I have to select. Agency, I don't. Business, life care, content format. This is going to be a banner. Care area, cute care. I don't know why this comes up as this is going to be all Latin America. Distribution channel, digital, modality. You can see they make this so hard for their users.
It kind of reminds me of Swiss Re as well. I think like both Swiss Re and GE have got this thing in common. Like they always reach out to us and says like, can't we just have all the workflow set up with like mandatory labels so that they can be filled out during task creation?
I know. Yeah, it's just there's so much. Because not only do they have to do that here, they also have required fields that they need to fill out here.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so before they can do anything, you know, they're kind of going through all these steps.
Yeah, gets a bit tedious at times. Yeah.
It sure does. But maybe that's just because we do all this testing, right? Okay, so I'm gonna leave, let's see, I'm only gonna address the required ones because I want you to see the other in-app stuff. Okay, so you can see I have my Viva fields are all empty, right? Okay, and I can go to content and I'll just upload a PDF here. Okay, so I have my piece of content and that content should be set. Remember, it has to be set as a primary. So see that primary is set here. Okay, and I actually have to go through and assign every step before I do anything. Pretty sure they did these as rigid workflows. I can't remember why, but that means I have to go through and assign all the steps before it'll do anything. Okay. All right, so theoretically, you know, as users going through this, if they report any issues, for sure you'll want to see this behavior, you know, and have them step you through. That's probably the best way for you to help the user go through troubleshooting is to actually see them go through each of these steps. Because they are so intricate, any number of things could be off, right? All right, so I'm just gonna rapidly go through and complete the non-external steps. And remember that when you're in app like this, when you complete the step prior to an external step, so this is our external step. When you complete this step, this fires automatically, starts automatically.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. So I'm going to complete this one. And then, oh, look at this. What is this? Please assign a content owner to this step. The content owner will be notified, but will not need to take any action. This step starts automatically. The person assigned will be recorded in Viva PromoMats. First thing you should notice too, look at this, data transfer in progress. That's how you know it's been kicked off.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so I got, look at that. That was less than 30 seconds, right? I got a message back. Missing or incorrect additional information. So it got kicked off. Trey picked it up and said, wait a minute, you haven't filled something out. But I don't know what I didn't fill out, right? So let me hit the refresh button here. This is our last refresh issue. See, that comment was actually there. It's just that because we didn't have an auto refresh on this, I didn't see it. So that's something else our users will probably run into. But I have a comment here. Actually, how do I get down here? It's hidden by my activity bar here. There we go. It says, please open the additional.
You can see the comment in the
here. Oh yeah, I could just see it here, couldn't I? Yep.
In the comment.
Please open additional information section and review the following values.
Review the following.
Intended use, customer names, device required, device clear to unprove. All right. So basically, I'm being instructed to go back and look at these values here.
I think individual page use that has to be filled.
Which one?
Viva individual page. Oh no. Oh, sorry. No, that's already filled.
I think I filled them all out, didn't I?
Since you have filled all the additional information.
I probably didn't use the right combination. All right. Content owner. Let's look here. Intended use is internal.
Okay.
Material. are customer names used? Yes, I'll just set them to no. Does the device require pre-market approval? I'll say no. Material intent, non-promotional. Device that is cleared or uncleared or unapproved? No. Individual page use? Yes, I'll just say yes. Viva objective is filled out. Press release or newsroom article? No. And Viva revision of
Okay.
approved
The
or
last
promo?
one.
This one, I'll set it to no.
Mhm.
All right, save my changes. And here's another feature. I don't know if you guys knew about this, but basically as a user needs to reinitiate the step, see
Mhm.
how there's no buttons here. I can't
Mhm.
undo this step. I can't send it back.
Mhm.
But what I can do is sync.
Right.
That's because that step is currently owned by that external system.
Mhm. So now we need to wait 30 seconds again, right?
Yep, exactly. First thing you see, data transfer in progress.
Mhm.
There we go. Check
Yeah.
it out.
Right.
Okay, so placeholder created. Let's just check and make sure. Oh, and see the step closed.
But what was the issue before? I mean, like you filled out all the additional information, but still you got the error.
Yeah.
And after that, when you filled all the additional information sequentially, which appeared in the comments, and then it worked. So like, is it
Yeah.
like we have to complete all the additional information sequentially, right? Or like, I mean, we can jump around the additional information. Like first
Yeah.
I completed the first one, then I completed the fifth one. I mean, it doesn't work that way. We have to come chronologically. Like first, I have to complete the first one, then second, then third.
Actually, it's more complicated than that, and I have
Okay.
a feeling what it actually is the combination of things.
Right.
So, for instance, I had external as
Mhm.
the intended use, and then I had promotional as
Mhm.
the material intent. But you
Mhm.
see where I had other name, I had like, does it require pre-market approval? I have
Mhm.
that set to yes. The combination of those 3 or 4 may not be acceptable.
Mhm.
But we can't trap for all of those scenarios and give
Mhm.
appropriate error messages. So what we did instead was just say, please review.
Right.
Because we have a handbook essentially that goes with these that say, well, I can't have something that's external,
Mhm.
that's also, internal. I can't have something that's internal that's also promotional.
Yeah.
Because if it's internal and it's promotional, the combination of those two are rejected.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
What if
So
someone changes the additional information after this step, after the step is completed?
Yep. It'll catch it again at the approval stage.
Okay.
Same exact set of errors.
Got it.
Yep. Okay, so now I have my placeholder. And if you notice here, we have the send back and the undo steps are available again.
Mhm.
Okay, just so that you know, that's how that sync button works. Sync is only active when the step is started, and
Mhm.
send back and undo go away when the step is started, and then they change places when the step is completed.
Got it.
Okay, so let's complete this one. We'll go down here, complete this one, review layout, complete this one, and GE lead approval, approve. Okay, and now we should see it again. We
Mhm.
should see data transfer in progress. Wait for 30 seconds or so and see what we get.
Mhm.
If anybody reports that they've been sitting here at this data transfer in progress for longer than 30 seconds, 15 minutes, 2 days, whatever, that is an indication that there was an error
Mhm.
in the middleware. And so most users will be able to press the sync button and retry it as many times as they need to. If they
Mhm.
never get past that error or that data transfer in progress,
Mhm.
that means it's a tray issue.
Okay.
It's an issue there in tray. So that's an easy way to troubleshoot that step. Okay, so here we are. Asset is uploaded. Let's refresh. So you can see the comment here or the comment here.
So whenever the Viva step is completed, we need to hit refresh button to check if there is any comment or something.
Yeah. Anytime the user, typically users will walk away when they go to that step, so they won't have to deal with that. But yeah, if you're testing it live or you're looking at it live, they have to hit refresh to see that comment.
Got it.
And sure enough, here it is. Asset is ready to be processed through the approval workflow.
Mhm.
So you'll see it's sitting here where a lot of our steps are waiting for Viva approval.
Mhm.
All right. So, I mean, that is it in a nutshell. I know there are a lot of really fine steps, but I think this was a good way for you to see your touch points in particular. I'll show you something really fun, just so that you can see it. This is what it looks like in Tray.
Okay.
And we're going to go with GE Healthcare, Viva Gold. Here. So this is what our code looks like in Tray. This is basically the receiver. So every time that external step started, every time that webhook fires, it hits this workflow. And I'm going to zoom out so that you can see it. All right, see this little globe right here?
Mhm.
All right, so that's where it starts. And I'm going to zoom out so that you can see it. It's going to get smaller, but I just want you to see how complex it is.
You mean the flow, right?
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
Look at this. It goes, and it just keeps going and going and going and going.
holy cow.
Yeah, there it is. And it's still going, still going.
Oh, look at that scroll bar.
That's right. I know.
Wow.
Oh, and here's where the good stuff happens right there. Yeah, no, we have barely gotten past the placeholder step. Look at all that. This yeah.
Wow. I'm honestly lost for words right now.
If a picture could say 1,000 words, right? Yeah. So every possible error condition, every possible, branch essentially of here's the Viva placeholder creator, here's just retrieving document IDs, things like that. We're connecting. This is a connection to CMP. This is a connection to Slack. There are connections to Viva here. And then there are connections to the error messaging here. Those are all error messages. So anyway, I wanted you to see that because there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes.
Yep. This was amazing. Thanks so much, Kathy and Neil, for
You're welcome.
for running us through each and every step of this overall ecosystem. I personally never thought that this was this complicated.
Right.
So thank you so much.
Right. I mean,
yeah. Thank you so much.
I'm still thinking about that flow.
Yeah.
Right? Kathy just showed us. I mean,
it's gonna give me nightmares later tonight.
No. No nightmares. No, I appreciate appreciate everything you guys are doing to stay, in tune with this. We're going to support you as much as we can with GE Healthcare in particular. And, I know we've got some things set up with Slack and other things. So just let us know how we can help.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Sure.
And this will definitely help us big time from a learning perspective as well. So
of course.
you guys enough. And Kathy, just one last question before we sign off. So say, for example, if something comes our way where the issue lies on Tray's end, should we just let, say, for example, Tiago or the reporter know that, like, we are looking into it, like we are consulting with trade to get it sorted? Like, what should be like the process that we need to follow?
Yeah, I think as much as possible, we need to just leave it in the diagnosis language, right? We're still diagnosing the issue.
Mhm.
We're triaging the issue, that kind of thing,
Yep.
until we have diagnoses. It's not, we need to keep the tray aspect of it just kind of invisible to them, so that they know we take ownership of the whole solution and not just the sections.
Agree. Yep. Sounds like a plan. Thank you so much, Kathy and Neil. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks, Kathy. Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
Kathy.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Neil.
Yeah.
Take care,
Take care,
everybody.
guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Kathy.